we'll just, yeah, I'm going to start with this. This is the Kemper Amp Profiler. Um, as I was saying, it's probably the best invention since the amplifier itself, as far as I'm concerned. This enables you to take any amplifier that you have and basically clone it into this unit. And it's very simply done. Well, on my end, it's simply done. All you got to do is take a 1/4-inch cable, come out of the output of this, plug directly into the front of the amp. If you have you need to have your amp dialed into close to the kind of sound you want to have to begin with. And so when you plug this into the input of the amp, you can have a microphone on the cabinet, return it to this, and you hit this button on the front, and you go in, well, there's pages of all kinds of stuff here, but the profiling section, you can dial in. You just hit profile. It sends a series of like white noises and some other weird warbling noises through the amp and the speaker components. It analyzes it, and in less than a minute, you have your amp cloned exactly in this. There's no latency to speak of whatsoever, and it is shocking how spot on that it duplicates your amp. The first experience I had is the one you saw in the video. I mean, I just happened to walk in. A friend of mine, Alan Litton, had told me about this. It was his studio. He's an engineer in Nashville, and he kept telling me, he said, "You got to see this thing. You're not going to believe it." I knew it was going to be good, but I had no idea that it was going to be so mind-boggling. So, in the video that you saw was the first time I had tested it out, and as I sat there, we had actually profiled a Bad Cat amp. It was a Hot Cat model, one I was very familiar with, and when we did the profiling, I sat there and he flipped back and forth. I got lost. I could not tell the difference. I was doing my best to find some kind of fault with this thing, but it's an amazing piece of gear, and I would say to any guitarist, young or old, whatever, especially those of you that are working in church situations, a lot of times with in-ear situations where you have to have a mic cabinet stuck in another room anyway, this is perfect. This is way beyond perfect for that. So this unit also, I sound like I'm a salesman for these people. I really have no ties to them whatsoever, other than, I just believe in this product because it's just, like I said, it's so revolutionary. But once you get your amps modeled in here, you can actually save the speaker component and the amplifier component as two separate units. You can mix and match cabinets after the fact. It has built-in effects. It has these 4 buttons at the top represent 4 stomp box modelers you can have. And you can assign those to be whatever kind of stomp box you want it to be. If you wanted 4 delays or 4 fuzz tones, I mean, you can have it. So the effects sound great. Then behind the amp, like you would in most studio situations, you have the post effects, which are all stereo. You have one of these you can assign to be whatever you want it to be. The rest of them are already labeled as far as reverb, delay, and coursing. There's just pages on each sound of effects, that you can have different kind of delays, different colors of delays, different colors of coursing, fat, small, whatever, and I'm telling you, the effects sound almost 3D to me. It's an amazing unit. So I highly recommend this thing, especially for anybody that is limited in funds to have a bunch of different amplifiers. You can have them in this. It comes with a bunch of amps that they have in it that sound great. And then after the fact, there's a USB connection on the back here that you can just plug in a USB thumb drive and save all your sounds. If you travel from here to New York and could find a Kemper unit there, all you would need is just a little thumb drive, plug it in and go. And it would be exactly. It's amazing. It really is. And you can actually store millions of sounds on just maybe a 10 or 15 gig thumb drive. It's amazing how much little information it takes up. But to me, this is like so Star Trek. It's unbelievable. It's beam me up, Scotty, all the way. Uh, but anyway, I'm just saying that if you want something that sounds great, it's not super expensive. I think street price on this is like $1,900, something like that. But you pay that much for a great combo amp anywhere. So something of any decent quality, and you literally can have hundreds of amps in here with the effects. So, but that being said, I'm gonna maybe go back to plugging in here through this little Vox amp I've got set up here, just to kind of demo some ideas and things that I have about, sounds that we use every day in studios or in live situations and church and worship situations. So, I think as far as tones and stuff go, I think one of the most important things about the front end of having a great tone is having the right kind of strings to use. I'm not endorsing any particular brand of strings, but me being the sweater that I am, I could certainly kill a set of strings like that but since the coated string has come along, it's certainly changed my life, and I know that strings like Elixir, who have the coated strings, I certainly love those strings, but more than that, the tone of the string is as important to the instrument as using a pick or the thickness of your fingers or whatever. I mean, it all comes together working in your favor if you have the right combination. That's why I tend to use heavier strings on my guitars compared to most rock guitar players. I know a lot of guys will use like 8 or 9 gauge strings on electric guitars. I tend to use on most of mine. I have across the board all of my Fenders and Gibsons, which are different scale lengths. I still use like 10s, and I've just gotten used to them over the years. You just get a nice thicker tone, a little more sustained. That's here. I'll show you the Strat, for instance. This one I have pretty thick strings. I have actually a heavier gauge on the bottom than normal. Most of the 10 sets that I've seen is usually like 10 through 46. This actually has a 52 on top, which is a heavier thing. So that when you're laying into it, if you've played with lighter strings much, you always know that if you lay into the string, that it can kind of bend a little bit in pitch when you first hit it. But the heavier the string, the better you're gonna have more success at having better tuning. So that's kind of the case with the Strat that I love the Stratocaster. I think it's one of the most versatile electric guitars there is. It's certainly not the end all, but if you had to have one to hit the road with and play on, it certainly gives you a myriad of sounds, and being a 3 pickup guitar. This particular Strat that I have, I recently discovered these Lindy Fralin noiseless pickups, and they seem to be, to me, the most true to a normal Strat sounding pickup that I've encountered. They maintain all the top end, and they still have a little bit of guts to them, and without all the excess buzzing that you get with single coil pickups. And it's kind of a brilliant thing that he discovered. As you can see, there's these blades here. They're split, and they kind of intersect, like a little L-shaped kind of thing. And I guess they create a field by doing that eliminates all the hum. So anything you can do to keep your signal clean, because it all adds up. By the time you start with the pickups, and if you got some buzzing problems, that can be enhanced by the kind of cables you're using, by the kind of pedals you're using, by the kind of amp you're using, and it can be a tricky thing just making all that work together without having any noise issues. I just have this little pedal board I kind of put together here. Just basically, it's just some working pedals that I like. I have many pedals that I've acquired through the years, but there's some I always kind of gravitate toward. I think one of the coolest units for a pedal board has come in the form of this Line 6 M9. This little floor unit has many multi-effects in it. They have different versions of this as well. There's the M13, which is a much huger unit, but this seems to fit on a smaller pedal board much better. And you can have literally just hundreds of different sounds in this thing. So, and for instance, what I like about this unit is, first of all, being so compact, but I can have access to different delays. Just at, I have just a few banks of things here that I kind of default to that I commonly use, and with this unit, it allows me to access those really quickly. I know that one of my favorite pedal companies, Visual Sound, who I have pedal to on this board of theirs, they have a great delay unit. If you're just into individual effects, their multi-tap delay is fabulous. But but the only thing I've encountered with that is that multi-tap delay is almost the size of this M9. The M9, you have access to many sounds, whereas you're kind of limited to one great delay sound at a time. If you like that, that's very cool. I have one of those. I love it. But just as far as when you need to be compact, this is what I recommend for sure. So I can show you, for instance, I have about, in this one bank setting I have here, I have about 3 different types of delays that I can use. I'll show you what I've got here. I may just start off with just a normal digital delay kind of sound, just to give it a little color behind the tone of chords and single notes things. Which is all fine, but if you wanted to do something to take it a little further, just at the tap of the switch here, I have another kind of low-res delay that I can add in. And on the same bank, I can go in to do the dotted delay thing, like is so popular with those people that are fans of the Edge, so. Instantly go right back into the other thing, I think versatility, especially in a live work situation, is very important to be able to go from one sound to another quickly. As we well know how moods change with music, and when you're going from one tune to the next. And also, just as far as just using basic amp tones. I mean, there's so many great amps that we've all used to using through the years. I mean, Fender is just legendary for their tones, as Marshall and others. Although Marshall and Hiwatt, some of those amps are also kind of related to or associated with being known as very loud amps. But today, I mean, I'm just using this little Vox Night Train. It's a 15-watt amp. It sounds great, and I think that the key to most great amp tones, it's probably arguable, but argumentative or whatever. But but I like tube amps. I'm just a huge fan of those kind of things. I have yet to find any kind of solid state amp situation that convinces me that it's the real deal and sounds like the real deal as compared to a tube. There's just some great tones as far as the top end and the warmth that you get from tube amps. But anyway, not here to particularly endorse any particular amp, but I do have some favorites that I do use. One of my favorites of all time, I've had. Well, I've got 3 of these Bad Cat amps. I just love the way those amps are voiced. They're kind of the ones I have are kind of based after like Vox type amps, which I love Vox as well. I have an AC30. I have quite a collection actually, but the ones I kind of default to seem to be the ones that are more of the British sounding amps. They seem to have a little more complex top end to them, and the mid-range is so vocal sounding to me, and most of those amps, that's what I love. That's what I love about, especially this little box. As far as pedals and stuff, I try to just go for different types of distortions here. You know, I want to go from like a kind of a crunchy thing to maybe a little more overdriven to saturated thing. It's nice to have something on your board that you can do that with. You don't have to have 2 or 3 different pedals, but I'm the kind of guy, I just like the different tones. I like the way some pedals sound with different guitars. For instance, I have the Visual Sound Open Road, which is a great crunch pedal that I use. I love the way my Telecaster sounds through that pedal. Which it sounds great on other guitars as well, but it seems like the Tele, there's just a magic combination there for that. On this particular board, I also have the Full Tone Plimsoll, which this pedal, it's just a great bluesy sounding pedal. There's an option on here. It has a little switch. You can choose what kind of wave, if you want more of a sawtooth kind of harder edged martially sounding, or you can dial it back to something that's a little smoother, like just a sweet old tube amp kind of thing. And then I also have the OCD on here as well, which is just a great kind of a martially sounding distortion pedal. And the other reason I probably have these 2 pedals on here, as far as some of the other pedals that I use, which I'm very fond of, I also love the Hyde visual sound pedal. It's a great sounding pedal, and for distortion. Also the Route 66, great pedal. The reason I have these 2 particular pedals on here instead today is it's just bottom line, it's space. They're a little bit bigger pedals, and as I'm getting older, I hate carrying things around less and less. You know what I'm saying? But as far as the signal chain, there's just some basic things that I've learned to do through the years, which with most people, it's probably the same kind of thing that, you just discovered how pedals work with each other, the best combinations thereof. Like on this board today, there's a tremolo pedal I have here first. I just got this pedal not too long ago. What I like about it is it's a combination of a tremolo pedal and a volume boost. You can flip a switch and it becomes a volume boost. I have that going in to the other pedals I have on this board, distortion pedals. Usually the signal chain I try to go for is to start off with something like either the wah into anything after that might be gain related as far as compressors or distortions. I don't have a compressor on here. I hardly ever use them. I just like to be able to get the dynamics out of an instrument, which a compressor seems to limit sometimes. So, no pun intended. But yeah, I usually go in, for instance, on this board, it's tremolo into the other pedals, and I forget how I have them wired exactly here, but into the open road, the Plimsoll, the OCD. Then I also have a swell pedal on here. This company's called Swell, and they actually have a 12AX7 that they incorporate into this thing. So you're getting tube warmth from this pedal, which I really dig. And then I go into a volume pedal. Once again, one of my favorite volume pedals, and I don't have it on this board because the compactability of it, is the visual sound. But I have a little Ernie Ball pedal on here that seems to suffice for the space situation. And then after that, then I go into any modulation effects or delay effects that I do through the M9, and then how that into the amp seems to be the best working pass. Of course, you can always experiment with different things as to what you like. I mean, this is not the gospel, but this seems to give you the best overall working possibilities. So, for instance, what I particularly like on the Strat, I'll give you some tones that I like a combination of these pedals here for like some rock things. I'll just kind of give you a little demo of each pedal here. Here's this is what you get with the open road. It's slightly crunched out. Nice crunch tone. And so while we're at it, I'll just kind of go through the different guitars with these as well. Just give you the idea of how I like particular guitars with what pedals and stuff. So. Anybody got any questions or anything?
Well, you said the what do you call the pickups that are in your Strat?
Yeah, Living Fraley, yeah.
You say they seem to cut down some of the standard single coil tone.
They cut down. There is no those things.
Was that you noticed when you turn the volume? It's like, okay, he's got his hand off, and the volume pedal is just not. It's not humming. Okay.
Yeah, they're awesome. I love them. I know that Fender has made they have a version of noiseless pickups. They sound okay. To me, these have a lot more openness about them. They don't sound quite as plastic sounding as the Fenders do, but yeah, I love those things. I mean, it's just to me, it's like it's supposed to be, a Strat that doesn't buzz, so if that's supposed to be, but but this other pedal, the Plimsoll, I love on this guitar. This particular guitar of mine, this is one of my favorite guitars I own. Actually, by the way, it's a 1959 355, and there's some unoriginal things here with it. The tuners. These are replacements. These are what the tuners look like that were on it, but I put these Godot tuners on, even a little tighter tuning. And somebody had originally taken the Bigsby off this and put a stop tailpiece on, the pick guard was gone when I acquired it. I had it replaced with something that was, looks like the original. But I love this instrument. It's just it's a slim neck, 355. One of my favorites. I use this a lot, especially doing blues and jazz stuff. But I also I love it in combination with this plimsoll pedal here too, as far as the bluesy thing. So that's that. The swell pedal is a great little tube-ish sounding pedal. A little more top end than the plimsoll and the way I've got it dialed in. It also has another gain stage within this pedal as well, so this is the smoother version. The less overdriven, and then with the other one kicked in. I do quite a bit. As a matter of fact, for instance, like, here, let me go to another guitar here. With the, especially like when I'm doing more rock tones with the Strat, I may start off with something like with the OCD, just kind of a then maybe kick the plimsoll into that, smooth it out a little bit. Makes it a little less abrasive, but with more gain. I don't have the gain structure set up very well here right now, but between the two pedals. Or if you kick it in with the like the open road into that. You can hear the slight difference there. Or you can have the combination of like. That's the OCD and the swell pedal together. Also, as a side note, one of my other favorite things to do, especially in worship, when everything is kind of brought down and there's a certain kind of tone I'll go for that I have set on this M9. It's just a real spaced out reverb thing that just adds some really nice color to surrounding piano textures that may be going on around you or other guitar things. And it's kind of like having the soundtrack to the Ten Commandments at your touch there. So. But you can accomplish that. There's a setting in this called particle reverb that was set up to do that. But there's many things you can do that with as far as other reverbs and delays and stuff. So you can kind of accomplish the same thing with even with a digital delay. Anybody got any questions or anything about any of this? You know, I do. There's some coursing things that I tend to lean toward as well. Here's without. Just a slightly shimmer, I have on that particular setting. So, that in conjunction with some of the delay stuff. But there's also some other cool things in the M9 as well. Let me find some of the... there's some smart harmony stuff in here as you can use. It's like an octave thing. One of my favorites too is the envelope filter. kind of a fun thing. For me, anyway. As you see, I have a little mod that I've done here. Some of the knobs on top of this thing, it's too easy to kick with your foot. If you guys had any problems with that before. So it's like, I got some Velcro in a little plastic box, and I thought, I'm taking care of this right now. But yeah, that's the great thing about the M9. There's just hundreds of different kind of wacky effects you can use, but I just love to be able to have something, different things at your foot just instantaneously. You can change. So, you know what? I do not. I never have warmed up to the distortions in the M9 or most of the Line 6 things. I love their modulation effects and stuff. I think it's superb, but there's something just always been a little kind of plastically brittle kind of sounding to me that I've never kind of warmed up to. So anyway, you know what? I guess we could talk about, see if we get this acoustic going here. I don't know if we ever. Do we have acoustic? Oh, there. All right. Beautiful. I just want to emphasize as well that, I think as much as anything, as far as being able to have access to great tones and a variety of tones through electric guitar, I think it's very important to have a great handle on many different styles of music as well. Because when you have a wide variety of styles you can access, it certainly gives you a much greater, wider opportunity to do other types of music as well. I love playing acoustic guitar. It's one of my favorite instruments too. Then the McPherson, he makes excellent instruments. As you may have noticed, in addition to using a pick, I actually grew up playing fingerstyle guitar as a kid. I was fascinated by the work of Chet Atkins when I was about 10 years old, and first time I heard Chet play, I thought, man, that's got to be two different guitar players doing that. And then when I realized it was one, I got to know how to do that, So, but the acoustic is certainly a wonderful sounding instrument. I would like to encourage you to explore different tunings on the acoustic as well, because it can certainly, I'm just kind of being a little scatterbrained here about all this stuff. I'm trying to think about what we can cram in here in such a short period of time. But through the years, I've just kind of challenged myself to learn different tunings and things. That it certainly just opens up a whole new palette of tones and ideas. And one of my favorite tunings that I have a tendency to use is a DAD-GAD tuning, which is a D-A-D-G-A-D tuning. So I'll kind of give you a little idea about it. It's close enough, I guess. Anybody got any questions about anything? So, well, it's just been great having you here today, and I think we're kind of out of time. I'm not sure what our time schedule is as far as somebody coming in, but yeah, yeah, just to keep my big foot from stepping on something in front of it. So, just took a little block and kind of propped it up there. But I have all kinds of pedal boards at home, just different versions of different things. I'm actually playing here tonight with my jazz group here at 10 o'clock. So tonight I'm using a totally different rig for that. So, but yeah, I have my studio rig at home is something massive and completely different from this. This is just kind of grab and go, and but I have some racks of amps and some pedal drawers with a bunch of different pedals in that I access through a MIDI controller and with mic pre's and stuff in it. So it's just a complicated mess that I enjoy doing this better. I like the Bad Cat a lot. I use that. There's also there's another great amp that I've been using recently too. That's made here in Franklin by a fellow by the name Jamie Scott. Third Power Amps. They're making some great tube amps. Tonight, for instance, I'm going to be using the Bogner Ecstasy. Just a very high wattage amp, and what I love about it, it has 3 different channels in it that you can set up and go and have some great tones, for each channel for that. So, yeah, I mean, I just, like I said, I have tons of pedals and stuff that I will change out all the time. Right now I happen to be using this combination of stuff. Later down the road I may pick up one I've had for a while and go, man, that pedal sounds great. I think I'll put that on the board. I'm always changing it out. I made the mistake of years ago of having a guy spends, about $1,200 just putting a pedal board together for me, and then 6 months later had it all tore apart. I'm like, I'll never do that again. So I love these pedal train pedal boards because it's just so easy to put stuff together and hide the cables underneath and what have you. So, but yeah, I guess I'm kind of a pedal junkie in a way, but.
Well, I do that too, and I felt bad tearing them down, putting them together, but I guess everybody
Yeah.
just tore it down the other night.
Yeah. And the other thing I would like to make mention about too, as far as the cabling thing goes, and I'm sure probably everybody's aware of the George L stuff, but it's just such a easy thing to do, just to be able to take a coax cable and cut it to the length you want, and then just screw in the ends and go. There's no soldering. It's so easy, and the cable sounds great too. I know that in Guitar Player magazine a few years ago they did a cable shootout. It was 12 different cable companies, and the George L won on so many different levels, as far as durability, sonic quality, and so yeah, I love the George L cable. It's a really good cable, so it's definitely a good thing to have in your signal path as well. So.
What particular tubes and speakers do you use in your amps?
Well, like I said, I have a variety of amps. I tend to lean towards like the EL84s or EL34s as far as tone, which is so common in Vox or Oh, I'm always at the mercy of who's ever recommending what at the time. I've never been that big as far as who makes the better sounding, tube, but I think it all has the tonal quality has more to do with the type of tube, the EL34 versus the 6L6. I think at that point it gets down to more about durability factors, and I'm not an expert to even talk on that, but that seems to be the case more than anything. I mean, I've never noticed much difference between the tone of a Ruby tube or a Groove tube, so,
What about speaker choice, Celestion,
I love Celestion speakers. Most of my, I think this cabinet, the small cabinet, has Celestions. And I have, come to think of it, I think every cabinet I've got, with the exception of a little satellite cabinet I have for my Deluxe, it has a Jensen in it, just to be true to the Fender tone, 10-inch Jensen, but everything else I have is some form of a Celestion. I like the Celestion 30s, use those a lot. I have a couple of different 412 cabs. One is loaded with 85. Wait a minute, you know, I think they're both Celestion 85-watt speakers in those. So, yeah. But yeah, speaker components is, yeah, it's very crucial to the tone as well. So. Well, you know, I know that that Lindy Freyland makes a set for the telly, but I haven't heard those yet. But if they're anything like the Strat, they got to be incredible sounding, I would think. So, yeah, it's just, especially on the Strat, because I use it so much for high gain stuff. These have been wonderful, you know, just to cut out the noise. Because as you well know, if you kick in a distortion pedal on a Strat with a buzzy pickup, you got a lot of problems. But yeah, I'm sure that he makes a set for the tellies, is what I understand. So, but I'm not too big on those. There's something.
Well, I've got an 88 with lace in it. And I
Yeah.
know several people say it's really bright. It's super bright.
Yeah, there's some kind of body plasticky thing about them. I'm just not I haven't been that big into. And I actually have another Strat that has some of the Fender noiseless, and when I compared these with that, there's a huge difference. Yeah, I love this guitar. It's got the nice top end thing that you want, but it's got warmth to it too. You know, it doesn't have that fake plastic kind of sound. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm a big fan of the humbucker guitar. You know, I don't know if we need to be quitting or what, but I'll show you another one of my the favorite things. I brought it out here, didn't even demonstrate it, but the Gretsch. It's one of my favorite things for rock tones, and I'll show you why. First of all, I think the key to getting a great tone on this particular guitar is I got big old thick flat wound strings. A lot of guys that use these guitars, they'll put round wound strings on them, which, you know, they sound great, but I'm telling you, the magic happens with a set of big, thick, dead sounding flat wound strings. They sound so punchy for rock stuff. And forget about bending them, you know. It'll make you play different, but man, it's just, you know. These are heavier. I think they're the ones I have on here now, like 12. So they're, as you can tell. I mean, but it's just got that great classic rock and roll. You know, it's so punchy. It's better when it's in tune too. That's not good. And the cool thing about this particular guitar, which is the Tennessee model, this is a 62, by the way, but I love these high-low tone pickups. They're so low output that they just have their own nasty tone to them, you know. A lot of guys will go after the Nashville or the Country Gentleman, which I have a Country Gentleman, and I've had a Nashville one time. But these pickups are just great for just that rootsy rock stuff, man. They got a nasty thing about them. Their own color, and it takes a little bit to drive them, but man, I think that's why they sound so good. You know, that's one thing I kind of learned about pickups in playing. The lower the output, it seems like the more tone quality you will get out of a pickup. You know, so none of my guitars are really just have any high gain qualities to them, as far as the pickups go. And the pickups in that 355, they're the original PAS. They're just sweet, man. They're just to die for. So, well, anyway, I see it's like 1:45. I better let you guys go. And thanks so much. And yeah, I hope you learned something. I'm just throwing it out here, and God bless you.